Hi everyone. There may be a few of you I actually haven't met before, so this may be our first time engaging. So if that's the case, I'm Dr. Stamps. I am teaching your social media and PR class, and this is a brief lecture that will take the place of your second lecture this week, and I am specifically building on our conversation that we've already started about blogging and pitching, now talking about media ethics. So for the next 5 or 6 minutes, stick with me. Let me walk you through some slides before you get ready to put together your first pitch on behalf of your client. I will see you on the next slide. So, first let's talk about you. You are now the publicist, and this particular slide is touching on your engagement with journalists, bloggers, editors, and some of the misnomers or misconceptions that exist in that relationship. And this is why I emphasize this week how important relationships are, because not only are you pitching on behalf of your client right now, but if you're a publicist for years to come, you're going to work with these outlets over and over again with different clients. And the better your relationship, the more likely you are to get coverage and to be considered professional and someone that people want to work with. So let's just talk about some stereotypes or biases that exist in that relationship pertaining to you, the publicist. So one issue that a lot of journalists and bloggers have with publicists is that they rush. So press releases and communication are written poorly, hence why your email pitch will be perfect, free of any grammatical errors. The idea that how you turn things around and the way that you produce things can seem kind of wasteful and tedious and redundant. That's why we talk about things being very clear and concise and straightforward. And then there's just difficulties in working together. So the idea of people have deadlines. People have communication needs. When someone sends you an email and you don't respond in a way that's appropriate in a timely manner, it can be frustrating. Or when they've been pitched to cover an event but you forget the day or the time, that becomes an issue. Or when publicists are pushy, they refuse to take no for an answer. And so these are some of the things that are hesitant for bloggers and editors and journalists when it comes to engaging with publicists. Now let's talk about the other side of that relationship. So I just talked about some of the hesitation that journalists and bloggers may have with us as publicists, but we also in our own right have issues or concerns that we also have to navigate. And if you remember from class or if you've watched a video, I talked about an issue I had this week in real time dealing with a journalist. And so to build on that, as you can see from the list from everything that's over here, it's this idea of sometimes journalists aren't respectful of timelines or they don't respect embargoes. Sometimes they're beholden to their advertisers, so you don't want things to be sensationalized, but they need more clicks, they need more viewers. And so there becomes this push and pull between they need content, you need coverage, but there's other underlying needs there. And sometimes those are stakeholders or their peers or their advertisers and being beholden to them. And so that can sometimes give us pause with working with certain outlets or certain journalists. And then again, there's always that difficulty of working together. Publicists tend to push back against journalists because of the sensationalization that can take place. And sometimes the reverse of that relationship is journalists are hesitant because publicists can seem kind of slimy in trying to rebrand something or to talk down bad press and things along those lines. So the best way to get over that is to build a healthy relationship where you both have a job to do, but you have a mutual friendship or at least a working relationship that's respectful. And last but not least, how can you, starting right now, adhere to the media etiquette in your working relationship with journalists, bloggers, and editors as a publicist? So some of this I covered in lecture, but I want to remind you because it's important. First of all, everything you write, every tweet, every DM, every email, everything is above board, super professional. You've hit spell check. You've brought your best forward. Professionalism is the name of the game. And so I'm going to be a stickler with that. As I told you, we don't do a lot of writing in this class this semester. Lucky you. But the writing that we do, you need to make sure it is perfect. Write early, write often, and revise, revise, revise. Also, make sure you use the appropriate communication channels. I talked this week the difference between email and phone call and DMs. We're practicing an email pitch, but sometimes you need to pick up the phone. Sometimes you can do it over Instagram in the DM. And so there are different ways to engage. And if you recall from my lecture, it depends on your relationship. It depends on how long that relationship is. It depends on arguably sometimes the outlet itself. And then don't forget, you need to respect anything that you say. So if you're giving them an exclusive, do not share it with anyone else. If you ask them for an embargo, they need to uphold that embargo. There's no such thing as a quid pro quo. The idea is they need specifically content, you need specifically coverage, you're working together. So it's not if you do this, I'll owe you. We do this because we understand the relationship, and that relationship arguably is mutual. So if you follow these guidelines, if you stick to these foundational rules, it'll really set you up to be a professional publicist that people can lean on and can count on, and your reputation will speak for itself. That's it. Now it's time to work on your email pitch. Write it early, proofread it, read it out loud, and make sure you check all the boxes in the slides I provided, giving you the exact details. Last thing, it needs to be saved as a PDF with the appropriate title. Make sure that you upload it into Moodle. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email or come and see me during office hours on Wednesday. I will talk to you later.